Here is another day of getting comfortable talking to the camera and putting it out there. And again, no particular thing I want to talk about, so I'm just going to free flow. There's this concept called the morning pages, where you just write. You just take a couple of sheets of paper, a pen, and you start writing free flow, whatever is in your head. So I'm gonna try to do the video equivalent of that, articulating it. And this is a thought I had for quite a long time. It was like I was doing morning pages for a while, for a really long time, actually. And I loved the idea of it. And there was something to it that I really liked, but there was also something to it that kind of got in the way for me almost, because I spent so much time in front of the screen and writing through my work. But I spent very little time talking, and talking is really the most natural way of expressing ourselves, of taking the ideas that are, the thoughts that are in our head, and externalizing them and turning them into something real, even if it's just spoken words, right? And there are people who are very good at, people have their own kind of natural mediums, right? Like for me, it was always writing. I loved to read when I was young. I loved to read so much. I was, as a kid, I was reading so many books. Started with comic books, and then, other books, books. And then as a teenager, I went to the library every day and spent hours there reading books. And I loved walking through the shelves, looking at the different books, and just picking one out that kind of caught my attention, looking into it, peeking into it, reading a couple of passages, and being like, okay, most of them were not for me. But every once in a while, every day actually, I would find something where I'm like, oh, beautiful. And then I'd read that book, and it was such an interesting way of exploring ideas and people and the world, different parts of the world, in an analog way, that sometimes I miss those days. And I still like to go to a bookstore and do a similar thing, but it's more an occasional thing that I do, rather than like back then. There was a time where I was like doing this every day, and it was kind of my own entering these different worlds and spending so much of my time there. So for me, like I said, people have different natural affinities to the medium, and for me it was always reading and writing. And I spent so much time with that, but I was never somebody who liked to talk. And so for me, I always admired people who are able to articulate themselves well and who talk. And so it's like a part of myself that I haven't developed properly. Almost that's how it feels, because I spent so much time writing, and it's right, and it shows like I'm not a very good speaker, but you can just become better at things. And the first step is for me now just becoming comfortable doing this thing here, talking into the microphone in front of a camera. So that's the practice, getting comfortable at it. And there's days where you wake up, and you're ready to go. And today was a day where I woke up and I felt kind of empty and some sadness, and felt a little bit lost. And I was like, I thought about the things that are on kind of my list today, and I'm like, I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to do them, but I have no passion for them. I have no. There's nothing that calls me to it. Sorry. So there's nothing that calls me to it. And I felt depressed. So I went out for a walk. And I listened to an interview with Rick Rubin and David Senra. And there was a thing where Rick Rubin talked about listening to music and what it is like for him. And he said something along the lines of like, for me, listening to music is not casual. And it's like, he basically explained that it's a very intense, immersive experience for him. And he had a beautiful way of expressing it. He says, it's not wallpaper. It's like, I'm going into the music, right? And he mentioned that that's probably the reason why he never got into drinking or drugs, because listening to music, to good music for him, right, is basically a psychedelic experience that alters his state of consciousness. And I thought that was a beautiful thing, and I thought about that, and that was what reading books for me was for a very long time in my life. It still is. I just rarely find the time to do so, or make the time to do so. And when I do, it's not as absorbing as it used to be. And I think one of the reasons probably is also because I consume so much information. There's so much going on in my life that the base level of noise is so high that it's very difficult to kind of dive below that and get into that world of that story. And sometimes I miss that. And I think it's maybe a little bit symptomatic of a general layer in my life here. But I'm actually, I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm happy that I'm doing this, even though I suck at it, even though it feels so awkward, even though I don't want to upload these videos, even though I feel stupid just recording this and saying all these things and meandering around and not getting to the point and talking about stuff that really, even to myself, is not that interesting. But there is something. There's something beneath this. There's something underneath this. There's something behind this, what I'm doing now, where I do feel it's calling me to that. It's pulling me to it. That there's some almost like a gravitational or magnetic force where I can't see yet what it is exactly. I don't have the clarity, but I have a sense there's something that I'm moving towards, or that I'm exploring my way towards, kind of blindfolding, stumbling around. But there is something there that pulls me to it, and it feels good to listen to it, to respond to it, to do this, rather than to just rationally look at it and be, well, what is there supposed to be? Why are you doing this? There's nothing there. Oh yeah, sure, getting comfortable in front of the camera, but for what? It's not. There's so many things that I could practice getting comfortable at. So why do it? I could totally, absolutely talk myself out of doing this very, very easily. It's like a very fragile sprout would be very easy to kill it, to prevent it from blossoming and blooming further. But I think it's a beautiful little sprout, and I enjoy nourishing it. Or I'm glad that I'm happy that I nourish it. It feels right. It gives me a certain kind of joy. Even though it's not clear, there's no clarity, there's no goal, there's no objective, right? It's not like I have this direction, I have this path, and if I walk down far enough, I'll get to X. That's not there. So, yeah, I think that's it for this one.